The following is a class on the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 5, text number 20, given by His Grace Sriman Sankarshan Das Adhikari, recorded on September 30th, 2008, in Sofia, Bulgaria.
So tonight we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 5, text number 20. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Na prahishyat priyam prapya. No vijat prapya cha priyam. Stira buddhira sangmudho. Brahmavid brahmanistita. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. Purport. The symptoms of the self-realized person are given herein. The first symptom is that he is not illusioned by the false identification of the body with his true self. He knows perfectly well that he is not his body, but is the fragmental portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is therefore not joyful in achieving something, nor does he lament in losing anything which is related to his body. This steadiness of mind is called sthira buddhi, or self-intelligence. He is therefore never bewildered by mistaking the gross body for the soul, nor does he accept the body as permanent and disregard the existence of the soul. And this knowledge elevates him to the station of knowing the complete science of the absolute truth, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. He thus knows his constitutional position perfectly well, without falsely trying to become one with the Supreme in all respects. This is called Brahman realization or self-realization. Such steady consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Malakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Agana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Zavadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakamritamscha. So, This is a world of chaos.
Този свят е изпълнен с хаос.
That is the fact.
Това е факт.
Sometimes when it's a little less chaotic, we think it is nice.
Понякога, когато хаос е по-малко, ние си мислим, че света е хубав.
But actually it is always chaotic.
Но всъщност винаги има хаос.
Sometimes more chaotic and sometimes less chaotic, that's all.
Понякога има повече хаос, друг път по-малко. И това е всичко.
What is the proof of this statement?
Какво е доказателството за това твърдение?
Srila Prabhupada explains we're always being harassed by at least one of the threefold miseries.
Srila Prabhupada обяснява, че ние винаги сме обезпокоявани от поне едно от трите
Adhyatmic, Adhibautic, and Adhidaiva.
тристранните страдания.
So, how does one deal with this chaos?
И така как човек може да се справи с този хаос?
How does one remain cool-headed in the midst of the chaos?
Как човек може да запази самообладание насред този хаос?
That science of how to remain cool in the chaos is called Krishna consciousness.
Тази наука, която ни помага да останем равновесени в хаоса, се нарича Кришна съзнание.
As described very nicely by Krishna in this shloka of Bhagavad Gita.
Както Шри Кришна описа много хубаво в тази шлока на Бхагавад Гита.
So, how does one enter into that state of Krishna consciousness?
Как човек може да навлезе в това състояние на Кришна съзнание?
This verse gives hint.
Този стих ни дава ключа.
You have to be equipoised.
Човек трябва да бъде еднакво разположен.
Sometimes the most wonderful, happy, good news comes.
Понякога идват най-прекрасни добри новини.
If you become too excited about that, then you're setting yourself up to become depressed.
Ако човек прекалено се възрадва от тези новини, той се подготвя за депресия.
If some big, exciting things happens, and I think, oh yes, I am great, I deserved it.
Ако нещо прекрасно се случи и човек си мисли, о, да, аз съм велик, заслужавам.
Then I'm going to be sure and certain very soon I'll become depressed.
Много е сигурно, че скоро такъв човек ще се депресира.
But if I take every good thing that comes as the undeserved mercy of Krishna upon me,
Но ако аз приема всяко добро нещо, което ми се случва като незаслужената милост на Кришна върху мен,
then when the so-called bad things come, I will see, oh, that is also Krishna's mercy.
ако тогава ми се случи нещо така наречено лошо, аз също ще гледам на него като милостта на Кришна.
These children should not be roaming free. This is not a romper room. This is a place where they should sit in the parents' lap and learn to hear also.
Децата не трябва да ходят насам натам, а да се научат да слушат.
If they are engaged in hearing, then they will become great transcendentalists.
Ако те се ангажират да слушат, ще станат велики трансценденталисти.
This is the process of how to become beyond the modes of material nature.
Този процес помага човек да се издигне над гоните на материалната природа.
The hearing of transcendental sound vibration
Посредством слушането на трансценденталната звукова вибрация
elevates the consciousness beyond the modes of nature.
води до издигане на съзнанието над гоните на природата.
But one has to learn how to focus on the sound.
Това човек трябва да се научи как да се съсредоточи върху звука.
Shishi Gornitai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sadbhuja Ki Jai. Just like if there's a radio broadcast,
Както ако има едно радиопредаване,
you have to tune in your radio set to the broadcast.
вие трябва да настроите радиото си на това предаване.
If the radio is not tuned into the broadcast, what will you get?
Ако радиото не е настроено на предаването, какво ще
You will get so much static. You know what is static? When the radio, it's, like that.
Вие ще чуете какафон, пръщение, шум, лош шум.
But if the radio is, if it's tuned in just perfect, just to the right place, then you get very good, clear sound vibration.
Но ако радиото е настроено точно на правилната станция, ще получите много хубава звукова вибрация.
So we have to learn how to tune in to the Shabda Brahma radio broadcast.
Затова ние трябва да се обучиме как да се настроиме на Шабда Браман.
One time, Prabhupada in Vrindavan, he called this Guru Parampara Radio.
Един път в Вриндавана Шрила Прабхупад нарекал това Гуру Парампара радио.
So we have to tune our receptor. Our video receptor is our mind. You see.
Това ние трябва да настроиме нашия радиоприемник в ума си.
We have to tune it very, very nicely.
Много, много добре да го настроим.
That's why I always tell Kripa Siddha not to play with his fingers, just to hear nicely.
Затова аз винаги казвам на Крипа Сида да не си играе с пръстите, а да просто да слуша.
And this way the mind becomes tuned in
По този начин умът много добре се настрои.
to the radio broadcast, Bhagavad Gita.
На радиопредаването Бхагавад Гита.
So if we're tuned very, very nicely into the broadcast,
Така ние сме много добре настроени.
then your consciousness just goes up.
Тогава съзнанието ни се издига по този начин.
But if you're lazy, you don't want to keep your mind focused. Your mind is dancing like a dog here, a dancing dog here, there. You see.
Но ако сте мързеливи и не искате да обуздавате ума си, той става като едно танцуващо куче.
Then you remain stuck in the muck of the three modes of material nature.
Тогава вие си оставате в присадището на трите гуни.
You can't move spiritually.
Не можете да напредвате духовно.
Prabhupada was very emphatic about everyone hearing nicely during the class.
Шрила Прабхупад много е наблягал на това всички да слушат хубаво по време на клас.
As I previously gave the example,
Както преди съм дал примера,
during the morning lecture in Atlanta,
една сутрешна лекция в Атланта,
the cook was in the kitchen cutting fruits for the morning offering. Cut.
готвачът от кухнята режал зеленчуците или плодове за сутрешното предлагане и се
Prabhupada said, "What is that sound?"
Шрила Прабхупад чул това и попитал какъв е този звук.
That was the signal that was Prabhupada's polite signal of that sound must be stopped.
Шрила Прабхупад по този начин учтиво искал да каже, че този звук трябва да бъде прекратен.
So there actually should be no distractive sounds during the classes. You see.
Така че важно е по време на лекциите да няма разсейващи звуци.
So that everyone can tune in very, very nicely to the transcendental sound vibration.
Така че всички много добре могат да се настроят на звуковата вибрация.
And then by being tuned in to that vibration,
Тогава, когато се настроим на тази вибрация,
the devotees will make very, very nice progress.
преданните ще могат да осъществят много добър напредък.
Of course, there is also intellectual understanding,
Разбира се, също така трябва да има и интелектуално разбиране,
but it is more than that.
но нещата са повече от това.
Because even if these little children hear the message without even any intellectual understanding, just by absorbing the sound vibration,
Защото дори ако тези деца без интелектуално разбиране чуят посланието и попият от тази трансцендентална,
then they will become purified.
те ще се пречистят.
So whether one understands or one does not understand,
И така независимо дали човек разбира или не,
the transcendental effect of hearing will be there.
трансценденталният ефект от слушането ще бъде на лице.
I was with Srila Prabhupada in New Vrindavan in 1972.
През 1972 година бях с Шрила Прабхупада в Ню Вриндавана
And he told us that thunder does not require any particular language to understand.
той ни каза, че молнията или гръмотевиците няма нужда от определен
In other words, there's no such thing as Bulgarian thunder or Macedonian thunder. Thunder is thunder.
някакъв език да бъде разбран. Няма такова нещо като българска или македонска гръмотевица.
When you hear thunder, you know it's thunder. It doesn't matter what your language is.
Ако чуете гръмотевица, вие знаете, че това е гръмотевица. Няма значение от език.
So Prabhupada compared the Sanskrit verses of the Vedic literature to thunder. Does not require any, he says, it does not require any particular language to understand. So the benefit is there. Whether one understands what one does not understand, if one simply goes on hearing this message, one will become liberated from material consciousness. Srila Prabhupada gives himself as an example. I've also told this story many times. That at that time, Prabhupada was a young businessman in Allahabad. But he heard that Guru Maharaj was, Bhaktisiddhanta was giving some, there was some parikrama program for all the devotees in Braj Mandal in Vrindavan. So he took the opportunity to go to Vrindavan to hear Guru Maharaj speak. Now, if you've read any of the writings of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he speaks in very, very big English words. The materialistic demeanor cannot possibly stretch to the transcendental autocrat who is ever inviting the fallen conditioned souls in this way. He speaks in big words. So even we native English speakers are perplexed sometimes to read his writings. Most of his disciples were village boys. They were not English educated. So in the evening time when he would give lecture in English, big erudite English, the disciples, mostly they would go for darshan, they wouldn't come for the lecture. But that young pharmaceutical businessman, Abhay Charan Dey from Allahabad, he went every night to hear the lecture. There was only a small handful of people at those evening lectures, small handful. But he was always there. He told us, he said, I would understand or I would not understand, but still I would go on hearing. He said, because I heard nicely, now I can speak nicely. And just like here in Sofia, when we initiate someone as disciple, we get letter from a recommendation from Param Jyoti Prabhu and the council members. And the Gaudiya Math also, they would get recommendation from the local leaders for recommendation, Diksha. So the local leaders in Allahabad, they recommended to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that this Abhay Charan Dey, we would like to recommend him for initiation. And immediately Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, oh yes, I will definitely accept him because he hears very nicely. Others go away, but he remains and he hears. So if you want to know how to attract the mercy and the blessings of the spiritual master, it's a very easy thing. Simply be very eager to hear. Whenever the spiritual master is speaking, be very eager to hear.
с желание да слушате.
That's the insider's secret of how to advance very quickly on the pathway back to home, back to Godhead.
Това е една вътрешна тайна, как да съществим бърз напредък по пътя обратно вкъщи при Бога.
By that hearing, you will enter into this state of mind where you're not carried away by the fluctuations of the material nature.
Като слушате по този начин, ще постигнете това състояние на съзнание, в което не сте...
By regular hearing, you will master the art of keeping your mind always under control.
Като слушате редовно, ще владеете ума си винаги под контрол.
To where the material nature will not bother you.
И материалната природа няма да ви притесни.
So, we're very happy you all have come to hear tonight.
Ние сме много щастливи, че сте дошли тази вечер да слушате.
Because this means that you are progressing nicely back to home, back to Godhead by this hearing.
Което означава, че вие напредвате много добре.
This is our last lecture for 2008 here in Sofia.
Това е нашата последна лекция за 2008 година в София.
But we will be coming back after Gaur Purnima.
Но се връщаме до година след Гаура Пурнима.
I'm very happy to see how the temple atmosphere is coming up.
Много съм щастлив да видя как атмосферата в храма се подобрява.
There's nice enthusiasm to make the temple nicer and nicer and nicer place.
Има прекрасен ентусиазъм, с който бахте се стремят да направят храма.
So please continue with this program of beautification.
Така че продължайте с тази програма на разкрасяване.
The more you beautify the temple, the more your heart becomes beautified.
Колкото повече разкрасявате храма, толкова по-красиви стават сърцата ви.
So I can ask if there's any questions.
Сега ще питам, ако имате някакви въпроси.
Jyoti. Bounce her up and down on your knee. Put her on your knee and bounce her up and down a little bit. Give her a little ride on your knee. Like this. Give her a little fun ride on your knee. Okay. Okay. Param Jyoti.
Единственото решение, което сме стигали така общо е, че може би трябва да се редува един от семейството да е горе да гледа децата, после другия да се следства и така или пък някакси да направим нещо практично, защото децата не могат да се опитат. В някаква степен може, но когато това може да се е по-трудно. Идеята е практично как нещо е пътува, начално това пътува, да се пита как го правят това на други места. Успява да се грижи правилно за децата, така че родителите могат да слушат тези лекции.
His question is about children's education.
About
Children's education.
children's education.
Yes. Sometimes the children, especially when they're very young, they're uncontrolled. So we often, the householders, we discuss how to, what to practically do to, so that the parents are able to listen also. So sometimes the one parent is listening and the other is going upstairs with the children, and we're thinking of different ways to overcome this. But what is your advice? How the devotees abroad they're?
I mean, during the programs?
Yes, they're managing.
Well, if the child is absolutely unmanageable. But the best thing is just like Maharaji has Mangalamai here, nicely engaged. The best thing is to Prabhupada we never heard that Prabhupada wanted the children to be somewhere else during the lectures. I've never seen that anywhere. Prabhupada, you can hear so many things where there actually are children there. Sometimes they cry during the lectures. That was the standard when Prabhupada was here. Everybody was in the lectures. Because I've seen practically that a little boy who grew up in our Austin Center, he was coming to, father brought him and held him for every lecture. Now he's a learned Brahmin. He quotes shlokas and everything. Even without, just by hearing the lectures.
Шил Прабхупад никога не е казвал децата да не идват на лекциите. Много лекции сме чували, където деца плачат и така. Той не е препоръчал те да бъдат някъде другаде на лекции. И едно нещо, ако децата са неконтролирани съвсем, но друго е, както матеше сега.
I don't mind a few outbursts.
Нямам нищо против няколко такива.
If the children are being trained to hear, I don't mind a few outbursts of, little bit here and there is okay.
Нямам нищо против, ако децата са обучавани, от време на време да има някакви изблици.
But let the parents keep them nicely, affectionately seated in the lap, and let them hear, because that will engage the child in hearing Shabda Brahma.
Нека родителите удобно да ги хванат в скута и децата да слушат Шабда Брахма.
A few outbursts are okay. We all can tolerate him. For the sake of the child, give the opportunity to hear. Mataji, maybe you should take her on the other side of your lap. Any other questions? You had a question earlier. Forgot?
He gave up the question.
Gave it up. All right. Now who was next? All right. Okay. I agree.
What makes the mind get out of balance? It becomes unbridled and uncontrolled.
Well, the mind, the material mind, kama esha krodha esha rajaguna samudvamaha mahajano mahapapma vidyanang himayrinam. It is lust only, Arjuna, born of contact with the material mode of passion, and later transformed in wrath, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. 3:37.
Кришна казва на Арджуна, че единствено похотта е това, което кара което е родено в контакта с материалната гуна на страстта и по-късно превърнато в гняв е всепоглъщащият греховен враг в този свят.
So, the pure consciousness, when it comes in contact with the material mode of passion, becomes contaminated.
Чистото съзнание, когато влезе в контакт с материалната гуна на страстта, се замърсява.
And then the mode of ignorance, it can further go down in the mode of ignorance also.
След това може още повече да пропадне до гуната на невежеството.
So it's by being in touch with the modes of nature, the mind becomes thrown off.
Когато е в контакт с гуните на природата, умът се разбалансира.
So you have to reverse the process. You have to free the mind from being associated with the modes of nature.
Това трябва да обърнете процеса, като освободите ума от контакта му с гуните на материалната природа.
By bringing it into contact with Krishna.
Като отново го карате в контакт с Кришна.
That's why you have to train your mind that you're always thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day.
Ето защо трябва да обучите ума си винаги да мисли за Кришна 24 часа денонощно.
In this way or that way, always somehow be connected with Krishna.
По един или друг начин умът винаги да е свързан с Кришна.
And that will make you perfect.
Това е което ще ви направи съвършени.
Next question. Yeah.
Брахманите преведено като съвършено. Кажи го точно как е отделната дума, там как е написано. Също време Прабхупад в едно изречение казва, че живото същество трябва да познава собствената си позиция спрямо Кришна и това е всъщност съвършенство. Как да разбираме, защото Кришна съвършено не може поне от едно живо същество така не излязне, да бъде разбран, от друга страна, позицията на това живо същество, така нареченото гопи Барта Падакамойо, даса. Това ли е по съвършеното знание за Кришна? Разбираш ли?
Here in this verse, the word Brahmavid is translated by Srila Prabhupada as one who knows perfectly the Supreme.
Who knows what perfectly?
The Supreme.
Yeah, who knows perfectly the Supreme. That's right.
Yes. But he has read somewhere else that one should know his position as a servant of the Supreme, and this will make him perfect.
Yes, that perfect knowledge of the Supreme means you are part of the Supreme, so you have to know your position also. Otherwise, your knowledge if you don't know that you're the servant of Krishna, then your knowledge of the Supreme is imperfect.
Съвършено знание също включва това да знаеш, че си слуга на Кришна, иначе знанието ти е несъвършено.
Supreme is not alone. The Supreme is in relationship with everything else.
Върховният не е сам по себе си, той е във връзка с всичко останало.
Everything is his energy.
Всичко е негова енергия.
So perfect knowledge of the Supreme means perfect knowledge of the Supreme and perfect knowledge of the energy of the Supreme.
Затова съвършено знание за върховния означава знание за върховния и знание за неговите енергии.
Perfect knowledge of the king means you also know his citizens.
Съвършено знание за царя означава, че ти познаваш и неговите подчинени граждани.
Questions more? Yeah. Please revisit it.
Когато ние ядеме нещо, което не е предсадено, ние оскърбление или правене?
When we eat something which is not offered, are we making offense?
Yes.
No.
You have to offer. You can't put anything in your mouth unless it's offered.
Не можем да си слагаш нищо в устата, освен ако не е предложено.
You're eating sin otherwise.
Иначе ядеш грях.
If I gave you a plate full of sin and a spoon, would you eat it?
Ако ти дам една чиния пълна с грях и лъжица, ще ядеш ли?
Here, have a plate full of sin. Would you eat it?
Ето ти една чиния с грях, ще ядеш ли?
So why are you only eat unoffered food? You're eating sin.
Защо ядеш непредложена храна? Ядеш грях?
Questions more?
Може да мантруваме Харе Кришна и въпреки това да останем с материално съзнание. И ако да, какъв е начинът да преодолеем това нещо?
Can we chant Hare Krishna and simultaneously be in material consciousness? And if yes, how to overcome this?
Yes. In the beginning here, chanting of Hare Krishna will naturally be material.
В началото възпяването на Харе Кришна естествено е нормално да бъде материално.
Because you haven't learned the mode of pure bhakti.
Защото не сте се научили на настроението на чиста преданост.
You will naturally chant thinking, what can I get out of it for myself?
Вие по естествен начин ще мантрувате, като си мислите за лична облага.
But if you will keep chanting, the power of the holy name will purify your consciousness.
Но ако продължавате да мантрувате, силата на святото име ще пречисти съзнанието ви.
And gradually you will become a pure devotee. You just have to keep chanting at least 16 rounds every day.
И постепенно вие ще станете чист преданодайен. Затова трябва поне 16 кръга дневно да мантрувате.
Are you chanting 16 rounds regularly? Very good. Continue like that. So you have to get initiated by one of our ISKCON gurus also. Because the third offense against the holy name is to disobey the order of the spiritual master. And the Vedic wisdom is ordering that we have to have guru. So we have many nice gurus in ISKCON. You should choose one. Become initiated. Next question. Yeah.
is knowledge of the Supreme possible without knowing His energies?
And that's the program of the Mayavadis. They conceive of God as there's only one thing, and that's God. They can't conceive of God in His energy. They say actually He doesn't have any energy. God is one. God is everything. Everything is God. He has no energy. So the Vaishnava, he understands God in relationship with his energy. If you understand, the first energy of God is Radharani. If you know Krishna but you don't know Radharani, how your knowledge of Krishna is incomplete if you do not know Radharani. Therefore we chant Hare Krishna. First the energy, Radharani, and then Krishna. If you try to have Krishna without Radharani, your Krishna consciousness will always be imperfect. There's Shakti and Shaktiman. There's the energy and the source of the energy. The devotee knows both of them perfectly. Next question. Yeah.
Санкаршан първо, ако има възможност да избере дали той да постигне Кришна према или всички негови ученици да постигнат Кришна према, той какво би избрал?
This is a kind of hypothetical question. Hypothesis.
Hypothetical.
Yeah, hypothetical.
Okay.
She's thinking for a long time. She's thinking about this. She's asking if you have the choice to either achieve Krishna Prema yourself or all of your students, disciples, to achieve Krishna Prema, what would
He's asking me personally?
Yes. What would you choose?
Actually, the spiritual to give the disciples Krishna Prema, the spiritual master must have Krishna Prema. So if Krishna said either you have Krishna Prema or all of your disciples have it, then I would say let all my disciples have it, because if they have it, I must automatically have it. Because one can only advance to the level of one's guru. So let them all have pure Krishna Prema. And then I must automatically have it because they have it. Otherwise they could not have it. Next question. Yeah.
Седми стих от нектара на наставленията, който се казва, че натръването е като захарен бомбон. И това наставление на Рупа Госвами, може ли да се каже, че това е оскърбление, т.е. директно оскърбление хората, които фактически не мантруват сериозно. Нали? Просто ако прочетеме това наставление, това доведат до оскърбление.
Sometimes when people are more interested to know about the Hare Krishna mantra, about the meaning of the mantra, and we read them from the Nectar of Instruction, the verse where Sri Rupa Goswami explains that the chant is like a sweet candy. Is this the ninth offense to the holy name?
This is nice.
The ninth offense.
The ninth. No. If someone is a little faithful, you can tell them everything. If that means if someone is blasphemous, you should not tell them. That's it. But if someone is interested to hear, then you should tell them everything. Devotee is aggressive for preaching work. He wants to tell the whole world about Krishna. But he avoids those who are blasphemous. He doesn't waste his time with them. Any other questions? There's so many people who are innocent who are willing to hear. You just got to find them. Any other questions? All right, so if any more questions, just save them for next year. Or we'll have some Skype calls. Maybe in November when I'm visiting Austin, we'll arrange some more Skype classes. So once again, thank you all very much. Raja Vidya Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.